Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Josh and Jason Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast Show. I am your host, Josh Monday. If you don't know me, I'm a Christian rapper, devoted husband, father, and Army veteran. I'd like to introduce you to my co-host. He's a Christian, devoted husband, and father, and my brother. What's up, Jason?
Oh, what's up, man? How you doing? How's everything going? What's up? Is it Rosh Yeshiva?
Yeah, Rosh
So
Hashiva.
Rosh Yeshiva, what's up, man? How you doing? Jason,
Let's
nice to meet you.
crack-a-lackin'.
Yeah,
It's
I want to introduce you guys.
crack-a-lackin', bro.
Let me do a formal introduction. So we got comedian,
Crack-a.
we got Torah teacher, we also have rapper, which we have something awesome in common, bro. I appreciate it. And plus the Torah teaching. We're teaching the Bible here too. So Ross Yeshiva, what is crack-a-lackin', bro? Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you, man. How's it going?
Oh, yeah, it's so good.
It
So
is.
good to be talking to the Monday brothers, you know?
All right, man.
Bro, we appreciate you on, seriously, bro. And kind of what happened, guys, as we connected, we just over Instagram, he hit me up. He was like, hey man, I would like to jump on your podcast. And you know what, and he's a rapper, and he said he wants to bring some light, and let's go, man. We're down. So what I kind of wanted to go over first off, I mean, maybe kind of just tell us about yourself first of all, like how you got into comedy, how you became a rapper, and then we'll get into like some questions about the Torah.
Okay, sounds good. So, I moved to Israel. Well, I mean, I never know like how far back to start with these things, but I moved to Israel when I was 18, right? I graduated high school after 11th grade, and so in 12th grade I was just studying in Far Rockaway in New York, and I moved to Israel, and I didn't do anything but I studied Talmud for like 5 straight years. Then, because I didn't really understand what was going on in the world, I joined the Israeli army, even though if I knew then what I knew now, that all of these wars are just divide and conquers, and it's just Jesuit versus Jesuit, and they're turning in Israel, they're turning Jew against Arab, and in America, they're turning black against white, and in Singapore, that everyone is the same religion and the same skin tone, so they turn rich against poor. But this divide and conquer is all over our flat realm, right?
Yep.
And so I moved to Israel. I did the army. I drove tanks in
cool.
the IDF.
I was
then
helicopter. I field helicopters, and I also did water treatment in the military in the United States Army.
Water
and I
treatment
deployed.
is so important.
Yeah, and I deployed over to Kuwait. Didn't go into combat, but I did field helicopters that did go into combat. Yeah, so
Wow, nice.
Yeah. All right, keep going, brother.
Nice,
No,
like we've been through a similar thing,
bro.
but
We both know, bro. Now that I know what I know now, I am the same
Right.
way, though, bro. But I do
Yeah.
appreciate people's service, and I appreciate your service. I'm not saying anybody that's in the army or the military, I love you guys. You know, I'm not saying that, but
we love everyone.
I also do know exactly. I do know a lot more now. I've got 129 episodes of this podcast, and I've learned so much. And exactly what you're saying, divide and conquer. You know, the military industrial complex is just one giant machine that just keeps rolling. But I agree. But keep going, brother. I want to hear about you, not me. So let's go.
All right. No, it's good. It's good. I didn't know that we had that in common. They were both in the army.
Yeah.
After the army, I went to this liberal arts college in Israel to study Jewish thought and Western philosophy. And I had a chance to study Islam and Arabic. And if I would ever be a type person that would have said, oh, I should have done that, I might have thought along those lines. But I never ever say should or would or could, you know? Like,
yeah, I get it.
We're always appreciative of the current situation that we're in.
Amen.
That I find is a good mental health tool, you know, is not to be like living in the past.
Yeah.
So anyways, I actually wrote a thesis. I actually wrote a thesis that maybe we'll be able to show you guys, because I had it printed up after I got kicked out of college. So this thesis got me kicked out of college. It was about the imperative of happiness in the Torah. It's called Simcha Shel Mitzvah, of happiness of mitzvah. And I wrote an absolutely novel approach to the idea of happiness, not only in Yiddishkeit, not only in Judaism, but also in Christianity, in Islam, in Hindu. I said I want the Jew to be the best and happiest Jew, the Christian to be the best happiest Christian, The Muslim is as happy as Muslim, which is right. And so, but I called the book because I wrote about what I know. It's called Judamonia. It happens to be on sale on Amazon, but
is that your book?
Yes, my book.
Dude, you got a book, bro? You should have told me I would have bought it before you came on.
I forgot to say author.
Oh, you're an author too? Yeah. Hey, hold on. Just go ahead and hold it up like I would. Hold it up so everyone can see it. Perfect. All right, guys. Yeah, check out his book. It's it's Judamonia.
So it's based off of the Aristotelian concept of eudaimonia, which is what a person really wants, really strives for. Why do you go to work? To make money. Well, why do you want money? So I can get objects. Why do you want objects? So I can get respect. Why do I respect? So I can get love. Why do you want love? And people like, the reason the person just wants, so I call it the super chill.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what a person really wants. Now it happens to be that in the Bible, in Deuteronomy, there's a verse. It says, since you didn't worship God with happiness, and then he uses the word tov levav, which if you translate it, tov is good and levav is a spirit. Now, eudaimonia, EU, is good, right? We know that from like Euphoria, etc., and Utopia, even though they dropped the E. And then daemon is the Greek word for demon or spirit. Or
intelligence.
It's good spirit. Oh, or intelligence. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I say that this Aristotelian idea of eudaimonia is actually found in the Torah, and that's what this book is about. And I got kicked out of school for writing this thesis.
Wow. And that's your thesis, and you turned it into a book too.
So after I got kicked out of school, I put out my second album called Hashem and M.
And
that's
what I'm saying, babe. Let's go. Hey, we're comedians too over here, but we have fun, so it's all good. No, just kidding. No.
So I put out my second album, and I
love it, bro.
I sell these at my shows.
That's awesome, bro.
I say in the first single of Hashem and M was about this very difficult topic in Jewish law, which is like if the husband refuses to divorce his wife, she can't go free. And so back in the day, like they used to just beat the husband up until he would say, because he has to give it from his own volition.
Yeah.
So, but nowadays we don't beat the husband up because like it's not like proper. So now you have some recalcitrant husbands that are just torturing their wives endlessly, and the rabbis are not willing to do anything about it.
Oh wow.
And so that's the first single of Hashem and M. It's called Agunaside. And I say in that song, I say, Simcha Shel Mitzvah. I call it Judaimonia, slippy, yidden, sloped, and numb from all day Jewish phobia.
Wow. Okay. Hey, see, man, that's cool. I got to hear your songs too, bro. I got to hear more of your music too.
Yeah,
man.
we will. Right now we're just meeting.
Yeah, we're just meeting.
Are you still in Israel right now?
No,
so
he's in
now,
LA.
So let me continue on the story. So I dropped out / got kicked out of college, and at that point, like I put out my second album, Hashem and M, and I was like partying for like a few years. But even through my least religious days, I would still teach in yeshiva at least once a week. I always had a connection to learning Torah. And then after like 3 years, there was the beginning of, the word that starts with plan that I'm not going to say, and the word that starts with scam that I'm not going to say, and the word that starts with foe that I'm not going to say, and the word that ends with 1984, which I'm not going to say. Being very careful not to get booted off.
It's all good. It's all good.
And so I saw that all of the yeshivas in the world closed down, right? And there was no more yeshivas. Now, if you guys remember in the Bible, in Numbers, there's the story of Bilam and Balak. And remember, Bilam curses, or actually he blesses the Israelites.
Yes.
But he was really, Balak hired him to curse the Israelites, and then he gets up. He wasn't sure if God doesn't let me go. Right? Who can I curse if God doesn't want to curse? But Balak offers him all this gold. Fine, he comes. He has sex with his donkey. True story. Look it up. It's really in the verses. And
I thought the donkey stopped him.
The donkey
Because
stopped
he
him.
saw an angel. Because he saw
So
an angel.
so maybe in the Talmud that says that he was
Oh, it's different.
actually
Oh,
Boyle Osana. You're right. You're right. That's on me. I should know the difference between what's actually in the verse and what's in the Talmud. So it's an exegesis. It's a Talmudic exegesis that he was having sex with his donkey. Anyways, he gets there. He gets there, and he
I didn't know that.
and he wants to curse, but his mouth opens with praise.
Yeah.
And what does he say? He says, "Ma tovu olech Yaakov Mishkan Eisecha Yisrael." How great is the sanctuary, or is the dwelling, or the tents of Jacob, the sanctuary of Israel. Says the Talmud that from the curse, from the blessing that this evil person said, we know what was in his heart, what he wanted to curse. And what did he want to curse? He wanted to curse that all of the yeshivas should close down. All of the places of studying Torah should just shut down, right?
Wow. Okay.
And now we're standing at a time, the media-induced hysteria, and almost all of the rabbis, I'm not going to say all, almost all of the Rosh Yeshivas, the headmasters of yeshivas, almost all of them were like, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
That word that we're not saying, oh my God.
Yeah.
That plan, scam, etc.
Yeah.
So I had to come out of retirement at this point. And even though I wasn't like particularly religious, I was like, it can't be that Bilam's curse is going to come true.
Yeah.
And so on the first day of lockdown in Israel, I opened up along with friends, because there's no way I could have done this myself.
Yeah.
But because teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes, amen.
And so we opened up in a disputed land in Jerusalem that the government is trying to steal from this old man. We went there and we opened up a yeshiva called Yeshivas Geula Shaul. And even though I'm in Los Angeles for the time being, we study, we did 4 classes a day over Zoom this year. We're learning Tractate of Avodah Zarah now. We're on page 37, folio A, I think.
Okay. All right, so that's awesome, bro. So you basically just kept it rolling, and now you're doing Zooms. So they over there in Israel, they were pretty strict. I heard, like, they were pretty strict about people coming in and out, and and they shut the place down. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, like, here's my, and again, I'm saying this as a possible understanding, right? Well,
right.
Like, why start in Israel?
Yeah.
Like, because remember, they started it in Israel, and like they always like, oh, Israel. After 2,000 years of exile, the Jewish people were so ecstatic to be under Jewish rulers and Jewish leaders that the average Israeli is a little bit more brainwashed than your average anywhere else. And they're like, oh, the state of Israel is so holy. But what it happens to be, though, that at the state of Israel, there were a few different factions that were vying for power. Yeah. And in the end of the day, the faction that got the government in Israel was David Ben-Gurion, who worked hand in hand with the British, who we know is part of the oppression. And there are those there were those people in Ben-Gurion's camp that were actually working with the Nazis, that went out to the Jews in Poland and said, oh, come on, don't fight back, even don't run away, which is only like 3 miles away. Don't fight back, just get on the relocation camps. Boom, straight to Auschwitz. And these are people in Ben-Gurion's camp. The current leaders in Israel are all part of the oppression. I don't want to call out everyone by name, but one particular one is Yair Lapid, who I call Yair Lapido, you know? Yeah. And he's definitely evil. But a lot of the leaders in Israel are oppression. They are subservient to the Roman Empire. And that's why I actually am starting it's called Mifleget Super Chill, which is, and we have right now, all we have is an Instagram with like double-digit followers. Yeah. But it's a small movement, but eventually we're running for prime minister, and we're also going to run in America, and we're going to run all over the flat earth, and we're going to hopefully we'll. And even though I know, don't look at me crazy like, well, oh, you think they're voting? No, I know that voting is just a show, but I want to go as far as I can within their show to prove that it's not, right? Yeah. If we have a lot of people like, yo, like, why are you not letting them on the ballot? Or why are you like taking his commercials off TV. This is what, right? In America, it's even worse. America with their two-party system, it's hopeless.
I know, bro.
It's hopeless.
I agree. And honestly, bro, I think that, well, we believe in revelation. So we're Christians, right? So we believe in like a new world order. And obviously you could probably see that that's happening. Even during that thing that you were talking about with the plan and the end, Demic, bro, you're seeing that everybody's working together, right, bro? It's like every government was working together all at once. And the ones that didn't abide by their rules, they got smoked, bro, or they had a heart attack. It was like three people
five African leaders.
Yeah, bro. They were gone, right? So it's crazy,
Monday.
bro. It's really interesting.
Monday.
Yeah, exactly, bro. Like, so it's crazy, man. I see that it's all working together, and it just gets really interesting. I wanted to ask you a question about the Talmud and the Torah. So what is the
full Talmud right here?
Okay, what is the difference? Talmud. What is the difference between the Talmud and the Torah?
Great question. So I also got a full Torah here. Okay. The Torah is the 5 books of Moses. At its most basic level, the Torah is the 5 books of Moses.
Yes.
Also included in the Torah is the prophets and the writings.
Okay.
That, as a conglomerate, it makes up what we call the Tanakh, or how you guys would call the Old Testament. Right?
Yeah.
Now, around the time that Jesus was alive, a little bit before, a little bit after, because when the Torah was given to Moses on Mount Sinai, there was 2 components. There was the written Torah, which were the 5 books of Moses, and then there was the oral Torah, which was transported Moses to Joshua, to the elders, right? And for generations and generations, it was transported orally. But around the end of the Second Temple, when Jesus was living, by the way, Jesus was no slouch. He was a big scholar, And so around that time, people started to maybe forget exactly what the law was. And so the Talmud is, we put the oral Torah and we put it to writing.
Okay.
But first, they put it so concisely, so laconic, that they made the Mishnah. That was around the time of Jesus and a little bit before the time of Jesus. Afterwards, after the destruction of the Second Temple, even that very, 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 very short Mishnah wasn't enough. And so then they wrote the Gemara, right? And the Gemara was to explain the Mishnah. The Mishnah was to explain the verses in the Bible. And then the Gemara was to explain the Mishnah. And that was like that for a couple hundred years until even that became difficult to analyze. So then you have the Gaonim and then really the Rishonim. And they lived in North Africa, in France, a little bit in Germany later on. And this was like from the 950s to I would say until the printing press. That's the time of the Rishonim. And so they wrote and they explained what the Mishnah was saying and the Gemara and ultimately the verses, right?
Yeah.
When the printing press started, that coincided with a few things. The printing press coincided with the Spanish expulsion and Inquisition.
Yeah.
And that coincided with also the beginning of the Jesuits.
Yeah.
Right? And the Protestant Reformation and the Jesuit Counter-Reformation. And so from that time on, they're called the Achronim, which is like the scholars. And they analyzed how the Rishonim understood the Gemara, that understood the Mishnah, that understood the verses.
Okay.
Man, you got some information, dude.
Yeah,
bro,
keep going, because I want to know what's up with it. Come on.
Let me say one more very important thing on this topic.
Yeah.
Which is that the Roman Empire held complete control over the Germanic-speaking public in all of Europe. They said, this is what it says in the Bible, and that was what it said in the Bible. They couldn't read. A lot of them were illiterate. The ones that could read German.
It sucks. It's terrible. They did that to them. Yeah.
Latin, and so it was just whatever the priest or the clergy said. They just believed because they had no other alternative. With the advent of the printing press, that's what started Martin Luther's who, by the way, was also an anti-Semite.
Reformation.
He was
the Protestant, big anti-Semite, but who cares?
Huge.
The Protestant Reformation,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Now at this point, the Catholic Church is losing a lot of its control because it doesn't have the blind control. Within 10 years of the Jesuit Counter-Reformation, 3 Jesuit agents posing as scientists started to brainwash the earth on one of the biggest brainwashings.
Heliocentric model, right?
Exactly, the heliocentric model,
Yeah,
which
Copernicus.
is sun worship. Exactly.
Yes.
Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo, all of them were Jesuits.
Yep.
And so that was the way. Now it was, okay, it doesn't matter what, that it's so clear to you that we're on a flat and stationary plane and no one's ever seen curvature. And the earth is obviously staying still, but believe the science over your own eyes. That's where trust the science came in. And the reason that the globe hoax began was because the beginning of the printing press.
Yep.
And it's very important in history.
And Martin Luther and John Calvin, if you're Christian, both of them said that came from the devil. The heliocentric model came from the devil because in Joshua it says that the moon and the sun are moving. Boom. And he stopped it on Joshua 10. He says that he stopped the moon and the sun from moving, right? So they said Habakkuk also, it says that the sun stopped. Also in the book of Isaiah, it says that the sun goes back 15 degrees on the sundial, right? So what they said is that comes straight from the devil, and that's satanic to even say. It's pagan to even say there's a heliocentric model.
I agree. It's pagan.
They were saying that as well, and I'm sure there was a lot of people that were fighting against that happening. But what happened is that Copernicus was actually on his deathbed when they released the heliocentric, and the Catholic Church was pushing for it, and it changed the calendar also from
Gregorian,
from the Julian to the Gregorian, right? Am I tripping? Yeah. So they changed the calendar. So that actually changed the holidays of the Jewish people, right? And it changed the Easter. It changed all that stuff because we don't even know what days are landing on what. Okay.
No, they go by the moons. They go by the moons. You go by the moons. Your festivals or your feasts go by the moons. Yeah.
So I don't know that part. I don't know that part, but it confuses people, right? It really
went from a 360 to 365.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
5 more days of the year.
We go according to the moon, but still, you have all of these rabbis that if you tell them that the earth, even you tell them the earth may not be a globe, they'll like poo-poo you. And
I know.
It says in the Torah that the earth is flat. It's very clear in the Torah. In Joshua, in Habakkuk, in Yeshayahu, but also in Bereshis 1:1.
Yeah.
Or Bereshis, like chapter 1, Genesis.
Yes.
It talks about the rakia, the firmament, which is a dome, and it can't be a dome around a circle. It doesn't make sense. Around a flying circle that's soaring through space with a metal core that doesn't heat the water on the other. It's asinine. But the rabbis can't even hear it.
Also,
and these are the same rabbis, by the way,
I'm sorry,
it's okay. That's the same rabbis that told their constituents to get, and those rabbis have a lot of blood guilty rabbis. These are a lot of blood on their hands. And I was fighting it. I actually got fired from my job. Remember I told you that I had a job, and even in my least religious days, I was at least teaching Torah once a week.
Yeah.
Right. So I had this job, teaching in like an illustrious Jerusalem old city yeshiva overlooking the Temple Mount, and I would teach there, and I had like a bunch of students, and it was great, and like we loved it and brought so much happiness and joy into the studies. And once I started telling my students to right, the rabbis told me, they say don't talk about that, and I said okay, but I had to. What am I going to do? They're watching my students jump off a cliff, so I told them don't.
Yeah.
And I got kicked out of my school.
And
I got fired.
Yeah.
I would do it again though. I would do it again. You had to.
You got it, man. You got to save people, And what I was gonna say also, I don't understand how people aren't understanding that word. It talks about the rakia, right? Beaten out, solid. Also in Psalms, it talks about the sky being firm. It also talks about it in the book of Isaiah. It also talks about it in Job. The sky is firm. I was asking you, rakia, that means solid, right? I mean, it means solid, right? Is that how you say that? What would be the definition of rakia? I know it's stereoma in Greek. They say that word would be solid or firm, right? That's why they made firmament. So how would you define firmament in Hebrew? So we know,
Rakia.
which is
Rakia.
rakia.
So I'm gonna tell you guys a verse. Tell me what the English translation for the verse. In Hebrew, it's rokaha aretz al hamayim, and I think it means to spread.
To spread. Are you?
Roka, I think I'm looking it up.
Okay.
I got a new computer. I don't have the Hebrew, so I'm just doing it by memory. Rokaha aretz. Oh no. If I had,
It's all good.
if I had, I know it's all good, but if I had Rokaha aretz al hamayim, found it. I'm pretty sure it's in Psalms. Anshe Boker Psalms 136:6.
Okay, hold on.
You guys have an English Bible by you?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah. I had it, to him that stretched out the earth above the waters for the mercies that endureth forever.
All right. Yeah. So to stretch out the hours, that means they're co, and that's from the same three-letter shoresh root word of rakia. So I think the idea of a firmament is that it's stretched above the flat earth as a dome.
Yeah.
Right? Think about a tent. Think about a tent that you stretch out.
Isaiah, bro. Isaiah 40:22. He says he stretches it out like a tent to dwell in. And also back then, how were the
Isaiah
tents?
40:22?
Yeah. Isaiah 40:22. Yeah, let's go over that one, dude, because that one is good, man.
I love me some Isaiah. Isaiah is his English name. His Hebrew name is Yeshayahu. And they call him sometimes Yeshaya because they take the last vav away from his name because we're in like exile right now. But I like to think that we're in the time of redemption. So I call him by his full name, Yeshayahu. So what is it?
Okay, so Isaiah 40:22. This is another thing I had a question to you about, okay? It said, it is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. So,
yeah, it says tent. Should I give you how I would translate it?
Yes, please.
The original?
For sure, yeah.
Okay. So it's Hayoshev al Chug Haaretz, that he sits on the circle of the land, right?
Circle, which is like
circle.
We're not talking about a globe, not a sphere.
Of course not. I wouldn't even say the G word.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, so that wouldn't even be translated to globe or sphere or ball.
No, circle.
Circle.
And right on the circle, like on the circle of the land, the Yoshveh Kachagavim, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. Hanotek Kadok Shamayim. He Vayimtachem Ka'oel Lashaves. So he like kind of bends or angles.
Yeah, it says stretches out the heavens as a curtain.
No, he stretches later. Kadok, like nothing the heavens, or very thin the heavens. Vayimtachem, and he stretches like a tent to sit.
Yeah. So I'm not in my your class. I know.
I don't have.
You're doing a great job.
I don't have like all of the books. If we were in a real yeshiva, real base medrash right now, we could in theory we can go deeper into this verse, see what the medieval scholars said about it, see how the Tanaic translated it into Aramaic, see how they understand it. But this is actually they give it out in the army, and I just keep it. I travel with it. It's like this is like the entire.
It's easy to bring with you. Yeah. So that's what I love. So it's not going to be circle. And now also in Isaiah, he talks about tossing thee like a ball. So he does say ball, Isaiah. I think it's I have the verse right here, but he does talk about in Isaiah that he tosses thee like a ball. So there is a Hebrew word for ball.
Let me see.
Hold on.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what it is. Hold on. I got to go through. I do like flat earth from a biblical perspective, bro. Like deep, bro. Like I do.
Let's do it, bro.
I'm going to give
you some Talmudic sources also.
Okay, yeah, because you know what? There's a lot of guys that actually look at all of it, you know. What can I ask you a question real quick while I'm looking this up?
Anything, brother.
What trumps what? Does the Holy Bible trump the Talmud, or does the Talmud trump the Holy Bible?
No,
I'm sorry, the Torah. Sorry.
The 10 books, it's okay. The 10 books of Moses are the word of God transported to Moses. The prophets are prophecy. The writings are writings, but with divine inspiration. The Talmud is very holy and very like amazing people that were very powerful and very brilliant, but it's just an analysis of the Torah.
Okay.
Torah, you know. Now
like
the
that,
New
yeah.
Testament. Now we'll just talk a little about history. The New Testament came maybe at the end of when the Talmud was finished, but the New Testament was written by the Romans. As far as I know, I'm actually curious to hear what you guys think about it, because as far as I know, the New Testament was written by the Romans, and like it was canonized in the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah, okay, so the Council of Nicaea was to get everybody on the same page as far as like the Trinity and to make sure that the Christians that were spread out all across the world were kind of on the same page, right? It would be like if you had all the rabbis come together, and over here in like America, there's rabbis, and then you have you have people like rabbis in Israel, and they're teaching like a little differently. So what they did, Council of Nicaea, is where they got everybody together. Now, I'm not Catholic, bro, by any means. I'm non-denominational. I'm Christian, but I just believe in a relationship with God, and I think the Bible for me is inspired by God, breathed by God. For me, it's Holy Spirit driven. I believe the Bible. I'm not one that's like stuck on that, but I'm just saying Council of Nicaea was to get everybody together. They didn't
thank
go
you for enlightening me.
They didn't take the Bible and start breaking the Bible down and saying that we're going to cut these out at the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea was to get everybody on the same page.
So who canonized and codified the New Testament, so-called?
So it was canon by what they did is they went through the historicity to make sure that they could take the authorship of the book and bring it back to the people that said that they wrote it. Because there's Gnostic people that came in, and they were having people like Thomas, the book of Thomas, the book of Judas, and Gnostic people were taking it like a person that's in the Bible, the New Testament, and they were acting like that person wrote it, but they didn't. So what they did is, as long as they could track the historicity back to John, like, you know, anybody that was an actual author, Paul, if they could take the historicity, then they would leave that in the New Testament. So there's historicity to it.
When was it done?
I don't know when it was done, bro. I couldn't tell you when it was done. I wish I could be as.
No, that's very good. It's very good.
I'm just telling you.
The ability to say I don't know is one of our strongest.
Oh, for sure. I'm not even gonna front like I know exactly the time and date that happened.
Yeah,
but it
wasn't not a lot of people.
But I've heard that.
Weaker minds can't do that. Weaker minds always have to have an answer.
I know that a lot of people say the Council of Nicaea is when they started breaking the Bible down in the canon, but they didn't canonize it. I don't think at the Council of Nicaea. I think that was more to get everybody on the same page. And they went through the Trinity, right? The Trinity, and they tried to make sure that doctrine was straight. So now you see 45,000 different denominations. So obviously the Council of Nicaea, it didn't work that good because they're spread out, right? But here's the thing, bro. It just is really, to me, bro, I believe it's Holy Spirit breathed, all scriptures inspired by God. And that's what I believe. And I think Paul was talking actually about the Old Testament at that time, but I believe it does transfer the New Testament, but that's just me. You know what I mean? So,
by the way, you know what Paul's real name was, right?
Yeah. Saul,
Shaul.
Yeah, Saul.
And the name of my yeshiva that I opened is called Yeshiva Geulas Shaul. The redemption of Saul.
Oh,
because
the redemption.
because Saul had real mental health problems. He was bugging. He was bugging face. And I believe that mental health is what it's called a psyop, a psychological operation that they're just pouring on us the propaganda, and they're making us crazy with all their garbage food, and they're giving us with phones and Instagram and all this stuff has a component to wreck our mental health.
Of course.
And so I believe that the redemption of Saul and the redemption of mental health and really taking back our mental health is the way that we can really fight back against the
elite
Satanists.
The Satanists.
The Satanists, the Roman Empire. Can I say one more thing, please?
Of course.
About the Roman Empire?
Go ahead.
So I have a dear friend that I met I met at the biggest Jewish festival in the world in Ukraine, Uman, Ukraine, right? And he's Roman Catholic, right? And so, like, people say, like, wait a second, but you hate the Romans. You hate the Roman Catholic. First of all, I don't hate anyone except for, I hate the oppression. But they say, how do you have a friend? And I look at my friend and I'm like, yo, he's a good guy. Shout out to Scotty Siv.
Shout out, Scotty. What's up, bro?
Shout out, Scotty. I'm definitely going to show him this. He's going to eat this stuff up.
Yeah.
So they say, how do you have a friend who's a Roman Catholic? Don't you hate the Roman Empire for destroying the Second Israelite Temple and for doing 9/11 and for doing the plan blank?
Yeah.
And doing the blank them. And don't you hate the Roman Empire for doing the Holocaust because Hitler was just a puppet of the Pope because it was the Third Reich and everyone doesn't know Third Reich of what? The Third Reich of the Roman Empire. Don't you hate the Romans? And the answer is, I do hate the Romans. But you see, there's two types of Roman Catholics. You have the elite, the Pope, and the pedophilic elite of the Roman Empire, who is completely controlling the UN and that whole conglomerate. But then you have like their subjects or the people that are below them who really think that they are worshiping Jesus and that is worshiping God, like Jesus, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Okay, so it's one. In the end of the day, you have the vast majority, I think, of Roman Catholics who really think in whatever way that however they can figure it, however they explain three to what, they really believe that they are worshiping the one God. But then you have, I think, the upper echelons, the Vatican, that are satanic and pedophilic and worshiping Satan. So most Roman Catholics are with us because right now, during the Third Reich, the Holocaust, it was also against gays and gypsies, but it was mostly against kikes, right? It's mostly against the Jews. Yeah. But now that we're in the Fourth Reich, it's against all of us.
Yeah.
And so now is the time. They want to divide and conquer. I say that we unify and liberate. And we have the Jews and Muslims and Christians and Hindu. Anyone who is being censored against what they really want to say is being victimized right now. Anyone who they tried to force to poison themselves. Yeah. We're all in this together.
Can I ask you a question? What tribe are you from? What tribe? What?
You asked a good question. So the word Jew, at its most etymological, means from the tribe of Judah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So I say I'm Jewish, but really, and it's funny that you asked that question. Most of the Jews now are from Judah or from Benjamin or from a little bit of the scattering of the other tribes. But I happen to be, and I'm not trying to brag or anything, but I happen to be what's known as a Kohen. A Kohen is from the tribe of Levi. Now, we actually just in this week's Torah portion learned about why Levi got, I don't want to say elevated amongst Israel, but elevated amongst Israel. And the reason is because when Israel worshipped the golden calf, Levi was zealous, and we were like, no, we stood stalwart, and we would not worship the golden calf. So I'm from the tribe of Levi. It happens to be
nice, dude.
Yeah,
yeah. But we're all one.
I was going to touch too. Remember when you said that the New Testament was written by the Roman Empire?
Yes.
Well, what would have happened if that was true is they would have put a lot more emphasis on Mary, because in the New Testament, if you read the New Testament, Mary is if you look at the Catholics, how they are all about mother, son worship and all that stuff, and you're not seeing that in the New Testament. Mary is mentioned, but you don't see her coming back in Revelation. You don't see her coming back in, you know what I'm saying? So I believe if the Roman Catholics did write it or the Romans wrote that, they probably would have put a lot more emphasis on Mary being deity.
That's an interesting point.
Okay.
I think here's what I think. I think that when Constantine the Great,
Babylonian,
when he adopted, in quotes, the Christianity, and he converted and he adopted Christianity to the Roman Empire, I don't think it was ever real. I think it was a military tactic and not a religious tactic.
I agree, man.
I think that, right? So I think that they wrote the new. I think this is just I'm willing to learn. I want to learn. But how I understand it now is that he wrote that he started Christianity as a religion in order to divide and conquer, make some of the Jews and bring them to become Christians. It's a divide and conquer thing. It also, it's more palatable. Even then, it was more palatable to the average Joe that they're worshiping God and they're worshiping paganism. And they're worshiping Satan. They were always worshiping Satan at the upper echelons. Yeah, and so now you have a lot of Christians that they think, especially the Roman Catholics, that they think that they really are God-fearing and worshiping God, but really their leaders are worshiping Satan and sacrificing children to Molech.
Yeah.
And raping them as part of their service.
So let me get into that. What were we just talking about? I just had a good point here. So we had I was just gonna say something.
Okay, it'll come.
Okay, we'll just say this. There's elites in whether Jewish, whether rabbis, whether American, whether British, or whether anywhere that are right now are all working together, right, to make all this stuff happen, and they are worshiping Satan. But back in the day, Constantine, he didn't start Christianity. What he did is he took Christianity and he took paganism and he merged them together to create Catholicism. So he created the Catholic religion. He didn't create Christianity. We'll just put it that way, right? So what happened is he was worshiping Minerva, which was actually like the sun, right? So what he did is Mithras, not Minerva. Sorry, Mithras. So what happened is they would have like a Catholic church, and then below the elites would go and keep worshiping Mithras. Sorry, so which is the sun. Right. Yeah, so you see in the Catholic, so in the Catholic religion, So in the Catholic religion, you're going to see like suns, you're going to see all this different stuff. But like Christianity, I believe, like not Catholic, like the way that we're rolling over here is not saying all Christianity, but like with us, we're non-denominational. We go to a Calvary chapel, so we're more about relationship with God than religion. Like religion for us is just like Jesus was all not about religion. He was like, you guys are hypocrites. You guys are, Pharisees. You guys are doing this stuff, and you don't like it either. No. But you don't like it either, though, because you're talking about how people are being hypocrites.
Right. There's a lot of problems with it. And I appreciate that you explained. I understand how you see it. I'm
just trying to say I see it as like the whole thing, but that's what I've been taught, and that's the way I believe. But that's what I believe. But I respect everything, dude, because you're reading the Torah and you're getting the history and you're studying and you're researching. You're not just being like a sheep that's listening to everybody and just being like, okay, I understand. And I only take it from the rabbi, or like me. I don't just take it from my pastor and just sit with it.
No, I read it
and I go,
songs. I write diss tracks on rabbis.
Yeah. So you understand. You probably don't like hypocrisy. If somebody was telling you like, hey, well, you need to start getting this, and then you're like, dude, what are you talking about? The Bible's not about that. It's about walking by faith, right? It's about believing in God and trusting him. Like it's about my tent.
I don't like hypocrisy. I can't stand it.
But anyways, it gets interesting though. But I was just we were going to get into Isaiah, right? That's where we were at.
Yeah.
So Isaiah. So in Isaiah 22:18, we're going to go to that. He says he will surely, this is what the English version of the King James says, he will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country. There shalt thou die.
It does say Kador, El Eretz Rechavas Yadayim, right?
So it's a ball, right?
It does say ball.
Okay.
It says like this. Tanof it's nafecha tenefa. So first of all, it uses the same word 3 times in same root word, and I think it means like in modern Hebrew, tenifa is like when you parachute down, right?
Okay.
So then it says the ball to the earth. Toss to like the earth. Rachavat yadayim. That's like really, that's wide. Shama tamuzdei will die. Shama markavos kivodecha kalon beis adorecha. There will be, I want to say, chariots of your glory, and there will be dishonor or shame to the house of your master.
Yeah. So basically, shame to thy Lord's house. Yeah. Awesome. Well,
Oh, it's the
what?
house.
So so there was a word that Isaiah obviously knows the difference between a ball and a circle, right? So let me ask you this, bro. Where do you believe heaven is located? Do you believe heaven is located like above the waters and God's throne is above the firmament? What do you believe?
Oh, you're asking some good questions here. So first, let me start by saying, I don't know. It's a good question. That's the most important thing, where heaven is located. So there are two schools of thought. There are two schools of thought, really. And first of all, when you say heaven, so we believe in the Talmud that there are different levels of heaven, right? There are different levels. There are even hints to this in the
Book of
in
Enoch.
the text itself, right? It says
Yeah.
it says heavens and the heavens of heaven, right? Shemayim
Yes.
and Shemay Shemayim. So so while I'm looking up this verse in Yeshayahu, and I want to see like how they really translate it, and how like because I was like, oh, like if I had all the books on me, I would be able to like look it up. But then I was like, wait a second, I do. It's called the internet. It's called the internet. By the way, the greatest Torah website. My sister works for it, but even if she wouldn't, I would give it a shout out right now. Much love to Sefaria.org.
Awesome.
SEFARIA.org is the greatest thing. So shout out to my beautiful sister, and shout out to Sefaria. Okay.
Awesome.
So where do I think heaven is?
The heavens of heaven. I'm talking about like God's throne.
Right.
What
So
do you think that would be?
you have different levels, and there's also corresponds to what is taught in real Kabbalah. I'm not talking about Madonna Kabbalah. I'm talking about real hidden esoteric. There are different ideas that I don't really teach that stuff. I view myself as like a teacher of the revealed Torah, but if need be, a yid may do with the cards been dealt. And if I need to teach esoterics, I can and have. And so in the esoteric part of the Torah, they also deal a lot with different levels. Oh, you guys are gonna love this, by the way. So, okay, so hold on, before we talk about where the heaven is, because again, the answer is I don't know, and there's a lot of speculation. Let's talk about what we actually do know. Remember, I told you that it's the word "senof yitznafecha tnefa," that, and we said, and in the English translation that you guys have says to throw, but I was like, it doesn't really mean throw. And I said that it means like to parachute.
Yeah.
It's actually the word, same root word, mitznefet in Hebrew. Mitznefes, you would say it with an Ashkenazi accent, right? Mitznefes. No. So it actually means like a turban or a cap.
Oh.
The Rashi, you guys know about the Rashi? You know about Rashi?
What's that?
The Rashi was one of our greatest scholars of all time. He lived in France from 945 1015. Okay. And I remember because like time, but year 945 to the year 1015, he lives in France. And his grandchildren were actually killed in the Crusades. You know, boo Romans, okay. And Rashi says, he explains that it says Sanok Yitznafecha, and he says Kimitz Nefes Amakepes as a rosh, like a turban which covers the head. Wow. Now that is kind of like a dome. Yeah. Right? Yeah. In another place, Rashi, in the Talmud, Rashi translates it and he talks about it. He calls it Kippas Harakia, or like the Kippa, you know, like the Kippa, like the yarmulke. Yeah. It's like that. Like okay. So that's like a dome as well. The yarmulke. Yeah. But yeah. So he's saying it says Kador El Haaretz. So it's like a turban on a ball will cover the land. It's not easy to translate. It happens to be that okay. Isaiah. Yeah, that's Isaiah awesome. is very difficult to translate. And so I don't do this ever when I'm learning Talmud. Learning Talmud, if I don't know what it means, I'll just keep on going over it and figuring it out. I'll never look at the English translations. When it comes to the prophets and the words that they're using is incredibly hard Hebrew. And I don't really have I guess there is a dictionary, but obviously I don't have one on me. So I looked at the English, and the way that Safaria translates it is, indeed, God will wind you about as a headdress, a turban, off to a broad land, right? There you shall die, and there shall be the chariots bearing your body, O shame of your master's house. So yeah, he says the word ball. He does say the word kador, which in modern English means ball, but the Safaria translation, Sanovitz Navach, will wind you around like a headdress, a turban. Kador, Zogt Rashi, says Rashi, Kador, it says Kashur Makaf. V'Rabbeinu Perish Loshon Kador, Shekorin Peluta in Laz, Shezorgin also, like a ball, like to throw it like a ball. So the rabbi, so in the Talmud they actually do say that it's like a door that you will be thrown to the broad land of Rachvas Yadayim.
Okay.
This verse, I mean, someone who is not really looking for the truth, but just looking to prove his point, will say, oh, look, it says ball, the earth must be a ball, because it says the word ball and the word earth in the same verse. But it actually has nothing to do with shape.
So what people try to use is they try to use the circle. They try to say that God's saying it's a sphere. That's what they try to use. But the ball, I use that to show you that, hey, Isaiah obviously knows the difference between a circle and a ball. He would probably say a ball if you meant the earth was a globe. So what I say is, so he obviously knows the difference. So he's using circle
over here.
So I like that. Also, Ezekiel, right, in the book Ezekiel, when I was talking about where's the location of heaven, when we were talking about that, I know that this is he says Isaiah 126. It says
and above Isaiah 126.
I'm sorry, Ezekiel 126. I'm sorry, Ezekiel 126.
There's no Ezekiel 126.
Well,
you mean 126?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, fine.
How did I say it?
126.
1 and then 26. Yeah, it says.
Okay.
And it says, and above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne.
That's the most esoteric chapter in the entire Bible.
Ezekiel
1. And it happens to be that I taught it when we were learning a tractate called Chagiga. And so I'm familiar with this chapter.
It says, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of appearance of a man
exactly
upon it. So
exactly
talking about looking through the firmament and seeing that there was a likeness of a throne, right?
And seeing levels. That's what, remember I was talking about the Kabbalistic levels, the esoteric levels. That's exactly a verse that I could have said, that on top of the rakia there was, and again it says the likeness of Kimare Evan Tabir. It looked like a sapphire. Dumus Kisei, the similarity to a kisei, to a chair. And on the chair, it was Dumus Kimare, and there was a guy on top of it, right?
Yeah.
All of this stuff is meant to be understood allegorically, I believe. And that's why when you ask me about where do I believe heaven, it's like, well, do I believe that this is an actual physical place? Or do I believe that these are spiritual constructs that Ezekiel was privy to? And that's why I couldn't answer you where I think heaven is, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Because heaven might be in a place that's not physical. It might be in a place that's only intellectual. So let me angels.
Can I ask you a question? So I believe. So here's the thing. So I believe that angels, right? They would be like inside space. They can't be outside space. Time like God. God could probably read the future, the past, like a scroll, right? I believe that. So the angels, like you see in like Job 1:6, it says that the sons of God was talking to Satan. They came
Satan,
to God. And
Job is a very difficult book.
Okay, yeah. So it says that they presented themselves to God, right? So I believe God could come inside. I do believe there has to be a physical location. Personally, this is not saying that this is Torah. This is not Talmud. This is just what I believe. There could, like that. Also, like the divine council. Like they said, there was like a line in Kings. I don't know if Kings is something that you believe. believe, but
yeah,
yeah, okay. Talks about the divine council. There says there's a lying spirit that he sent down to talk to, the king's prophet, so that he lies to the king. So those people, are those spirits, would have to be in like a physical location that's not outside of space and time. That's what I personally believe, because then they could see the future, the past, and everything like God would, right? Does that make sense? So I think that maybe there would be like a place in heaven. Maybe it's not the heavens of heavens where God's throne is. I do believe there's like a physical place personally above the firmament, above the waters that be above the heavens. I do believe that, but that's just something that I believe.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I'll tell you that you guys about angels. I'll tell you I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I'll tell you that I had
but I believe it though.
Yeah, I'll tell you I had a bunch of students that have like really like asked me to give class about the angels. And I tried, especially when we're learning this, because a few different angels are mentioned in Ezekiel 1. And then there are different angels mentioned when Ezekiel sees the chariot and when Isaiah sees the chariot. Yeah. One is called seraphim, whatever. I don't know how you say
Seraphim. Yeah.
Seraphim. And one cherub is called the chayos.
The
and the ophanim. And so there are different types of angels. Yeah. With different missions that could have these three different types of angels could have three different relationships to space-time, right? Yeah. Just to say angels as in general, because there are different types of angels. Yeah. And so I'm not 100% sure. There are a bunch of talks about angels, a little bit in the Torah, and then a little bit more in Tanakh and in the Talmud. And I still have not fully understood what each angel's mission is. That being said, there's a fascinating piece of Talmud. I cannot remember you the exact source right now, but it says that every piece of grass has an angel that hits it and tells it to grow. Wow. In that understanding, you can say, because the word angel in Hebrew means malach, messenger, which also means messenger. Yes. Right? Did you say that?
Yeah, I said messenger. Yeah. Yes.
Nice. So malach is messenger. So it could be that there's a group of angels that are just the basic laws of physics, the laws of the world. They tell grass to grow. They tell the water to flow. I don't know, but it's such a gigantic topic. Yeah. What are angels? Yeah. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to compartmentalize it and really fully understand. But the first chapter of Ezekiel is a fantastic place to start.
Yes. It's amazing. Yeah, I love it too, man. So I also got another question for you, bro. Maybe you could break this down for us. And this does not have to do with the flat earth, but this does have to do with angels. So Genesis 6, right? Genesis chapter 6.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are gonna start talking about giants now.
Yeah. The reason why I'm doing this is because the Hebrew, and this helps us out to actually find out what it says, because there's a lot of people that have their interpretations of this, and this is.
You're gonna talk to me about the Anunnaki, I believe, right?
No, I'm not bringing up the Anunnaki. I'm just talking about.
Because in the Torah it says B'nai Anak, the sons of giants, and Anak, Anunnaki. I've heard people say,
okay, sons of Anak.
I'm not going to talk about Anunnaki. What I'm going to talk about
is the sons of Anak. The sons of Anak are in the Bible. They're in the New Testament.
So, in Genesis 6, in the King James, it says, "And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And God said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were old and of old renown." So is there any way, bro, that the sons of God could be, the B'nai Elohim, could be translated as people, or do you believe that it would only, because in the whole Old Testament, B'nai Elohim is always referring to angels, right? Not human, right? It's not like Seth and Canaanite. Does that make sense? I want to know what your interpretation of that verse is.
And so Very good. I knew exactly where you were going. Well, you did actually not exactly. I think you're going to also talk about the Bnei Anak, which is actually in numbers to talk about it.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah.
it's the same thing. I think it's so. Is it talking about giants? Is it talking about
Nephilim.
angels? Is it talking about fallen angels? The Nephilim come from the root of lipol.
Yeah.
Nofel is to
Earthborn.
fall. And
Yeah, to fall.
actually, in this week's portion, this coming week's portion, Rashi talks about this idea of fallen angels. The Rashi. And like a lot of Jews talk a lot of boof, you know?
Yeah.
You didn't talk a lot of boof till they outside the booth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Watch out.
But when you tell them there's a Rashi, the Rashi, then it's like, wait a second. If Rashi talks about it, this is something that we have to discuss. Now, you walk into any modern Orthodox school, synagogue, or even Haredi synagogue, they will almost surely skip over this Rashi and not talk about it.
Oh yeah, that's how it is in church too, bro.
Angels, that's Christian. That's not Jewish. Right in the Torah, right in the Rashi.
Yeah.
So it has. This is a huge sugya that I think it's so beautiful that me and you, I'm studying. We're both studying. We're studying the same sugyas.
Oh yeah, bro.
Same
for sure, man.
We're family over here. We're learning the same book. It's beautiful.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go. So, let's see. I'm gonna pull up the. Oh, actually, I have. So I could do it online, but you guys deserve better if there's the possibility to have a real book, an actual Chumash Genesis Bereshis.
Awesome.
We kiss our book. It's a little weird, but at least we don't kiss. At least we don't kiss young kids. So.
or you don't kiss the ring of the Pope or something.
Yeah, exactly. None of that. All right. So, it's the 6th verse. This is actually at the end of the first portion. The first portion doesn't go exactly. The whole chapter and verse is Christian, so we split it up a little bit differently. This is at the end of the first Torah portion called Bereshis, right before the next one, which is called Noah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is the verse? It's 6. And so there was a lot of people on the land, and they saw the Bnei Elohim. Zok Rashi says like this. Look, see, this is the Rashi. He writes it in a crazy script, even. This is the Rashi right here.
Right.
So says Rashi, Bnei Hasarim ve'Ashoftim. So the first interpretation from the Rashi is that Bnei Elohim are humans. Bnei Elohim are the reason they're called Bnei Elohim, because Elohim, it means God, but it could also mean judges. And so it's the sons of judges and right, that's the first. Now Rashi says davar acher, another thing, and usually when Rashi brings two possibilities, because neither one of them is super answering all questions.
He's not 100% locked on it, basically, right? So
right,
that's
exactly.
Why he's giving
there
you
are possibilities, exactly.
Yeah.
So davar acher, bnei Elohim, him sarim ahochim b'shlichus shamakom. They're the sarim, the ministers, but they're not just human ministers. They're ministers that go with the messenger of makom. Makom means place. That's the way they refer to God as omnipresent.
Yeah.
That's the one that I like. That's the way that when I'm talking in English, I call God the omnipresent with capital O. Okay. That's the one that I am currently driving with the most. I like that I use it. The Avheim Hayu Misarvim Bam Bahem. So they were also these could be understood. They were like angels.
Yeah.
Kol Elohim and Migra is Lashon Maras. Every time he says Elohim, is talking about someone who's in charge. That God says to Moses that you will be an Elohim for Paro. It doesn't mean you're gonna be a god. It means you're gonna be you're gonna control this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what Rashi says. Those are the two understandings of Rashi. And there are other. Okay, Now the Ibn Ezra brings another interpretation that these are the sons of Seth.
Yeah, that's something that they're also taught. There's two different ways that we all interpret that. What we do also after you do.
Yeah, and it says that the Benos Adam, the daughters of man, are the daughters from the family of Cain, of Cain.
Yeah.
But it says the Ibn Ezra, "V'hayasher be'enai," straighten my eyes, is the B'nai Elohim, is Hayodim Das Elyon, that know what's going on in the upper regions, upper realm is they bakru lahem nashim shayis marech l'shemayim kol echad himshal kol echad. So we just saw three possibilities.
Yeah.
And that's B'nai Elohim. But there's another language that they use for them right here, right? They call them B'nai Elohim, Anshe Shem, right? Right, and destroy everyone, and then Noach found
Great. Destroy everyone.
Destroy everyone.
Just keep going. Let me go back.
Worldwide, everyone's gonna drown. Everyone's okay, next. Misery, torture.
Yeah.
Holocaust.
Everyone's dead. Oh man. So there's basically
there's different interpretations. That's why I say I don't know, because there's so many possibilities, and you have to see like how it fits with all the other things.
I have a question.
Anything, my brother.
Okay, here we go. This doesn't. This is off the wall. Everybody always is gonna come with this, Nephilim, all that sort of stuff. Mine's out of Jeremiah.
Hit me.
So Jeremiah 20. Maybe Jeremiah, let's see here. Jeremiah 22. I think it is. Jeremiah 22. Yeah, Jeremiah 22.
Jeremiah.
Verses 20.
Jeremiah versus Ezekiel.
No, sorry. Yes, it's gonna.
No, like verses is.
You're like yes.
Yeah, no. So it's gonna be. It would be 22. 22 through 30.
22. Wait, chapter 22?
Yeah, chapter 22.
What verse?
Verse. Let's see here. Verse 22 through. Well, actually, verses 24. Verses 24 through 30. Because you guys have a Messiah. The Messiah comes to the line of David, right? Yes.
Well, yeah. There's two messiahs.
Ben Joseph.
There was Messiah from the house of David and Messiah from the house of Joseph.
Yeah, but I thought so. You think there's two different ones? So is that what you believe?
Do I think that there's two different ones, or do I think that these are two processes, the physical and the spiritual? And these two processes that we each have to take part in both, to elevate the physical and elevate the spiritual. And there are references to these in extremely arcane, deep in the verse in the book of Zechariah, my name in English, Zachary. Deep in extremely esoteric verses in Zechariah. There's an ancient Aramaic translation which seems to refer to two different characters. One is Ahab, and one is Josiah. And it seems to be saying that one is like from the house of David, one is from the house of Joseph, one is the son of Leah, one is the son of Rachel. But there is a Messiah from the house of David for sure.
Okay, so when they go through that, it says
it's clear, yeah.
Jehoiakim or what's his name? Yeah,
Yoakim.
Yeah.
Coniah or God puts a blood curse on that line. How do you get a Messiah through the line of David if God's putting a blood curse on him?
Oh, what a question. Let's take a look at the lineage.
Yeah, but see,
Great question. Let's take a look at the lineage of the Messiah from the house of David.
yes.
Where does he come from first? Well, we know he comes from Ruth, right?
Yeah, Ruth and
Let's
Boaz.
take a look at the history. Ruth was from Moab, right?
Yeah, she's a Moabite.
Moabite, right?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at who was Moab. You guys know who Moab was?
Wasn't she the daughter of
yeah, she's the daughter of Abraham's nephew, Lot.
Yeah, Lot.
No, way before. I'm talking way before.
Oh,
I'm talking in Genesis when
Yeah.
Lot.
Yeah, Lot.
That's what we're talking about, Lot.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Lot's
think
daughters.
you said
It's the daughter.
I think you said like something else. Okay, yeah.
no,
Okay,
Lot.
look,
Lot. So wait
she's
a
the
second,
daughter
wait a
that
second, wait a
slept with Lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the daughter of Lot sleeps with Lot.
Yeah.
And has a kid named Moab.
Yeah.
Now in
Moabites.
Hebrew, Moab means
Dishpot or something.
from my father.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
really?
brazen. Yeah, Me'av means from Av, father. Moab. The most brazen thing. She sleeps with her dad.
Yeah.
And then she's like, yeah, I slept with my dad, and that's where I made this kid from. That's the root of David. Who else? Judah, right? He sleeps with this prostitute.
Yeah,
almost kills her.
Yeah. But that's
Tamar,
right? But that's his niece, though.
The Davidic lineage. Wait a second. David himself.
Yeah.
Very not clear what happened over there with
Bathsheba.
with Bathsheba. That like he kind of killed her husband. He kind of raped her. You know, statutory maybe, but still, like he basically said, "Come to the king," and like you knew that like
he knew it was gonna happen. Yeah.
Basically,
he lusted after her.
Yeah, but God doesn't put no blood curses.
She knew the rules.
Yeah, but
God, the rules, which is girl, you're gonna give me head, or I'm gonna have to take it. Get decapitated. That's Eminem lyric, by the way. Shout out to the greatest rapper of all times. Very wide margin, and we can talk about that also. But I think that no one's close to Eminem.
Yeah.
Let's stick with the most important, bro. Let's stick with the
Bible. But I'm just saying that God never put a blood curse on any of those guys. He put a blood curse on
the rap guy, though.
So I wonder how they could come with this Messiah out of that line if that happens.
No, so that's the thing. From the darkness, from the most complicated and dirtiest sexual past, that's the path of the Messiah. The Messiah comes, right? We say when we're waking Shabbos, and I bet you that this is a verse in Isaiah. Hisnari me'afar kumi, come shake off the dust. Right? He's
like he's going to be a redeemer. He's going to be a redeemer, right? Is that what you feel?
Yeah. The redeemer's got to come. He's got to come. He's got to come from the dunghills of history. Look at what happened. Look at this lineage.
I know. Rahab the harlot.
Kills her husband and rapes the wife, and then that's how we get the Messiah.
Yeah.
So it's not a question you're asking from Yoakim. It's like, it makes perfect sense. You know,
the whole blood curse on that line, though.
The whole Davidic lineage is so dirty that it makes Satan jump out of his seat. You know.
Yeah. I know. Man, you know, you speak a lot about it. You speak a lot about it, and I feel like that you can only point to one person that comes out of that lineage that actually fits that line. I think Jesus Christ does fit that he comes from a virgin birth. That's what it says, and that's why I feel like they fulfill that. It
kind of seems like the opposite. I'm just saying, like we're saying, like from all this dirty stuff, and then Jesus comes from a virgin birth. It's kind of like the opposite. But
that bloodline can be.
I'm not trying to
back. I know.
Jesus.
No.
I think Jesus was a great scholar. I just don't think that he was on the level of some of the other great Israelite scholars like Rabbi Akiva. People, a lot of times, my Christian friends say, "Oh, you hate Jesus? You hate Jesus?" I'm like, "I love Jesus."
No.
Great scholar, but you know, Jesus was great, but he wasn't as great as like Rabbi Akiva and some of the other scholars.
It's
But
all
you
good.
know,
We're going to stick with where we have common ground. So where we
no,
have
but even
common.
if we don't
No.
have common ground, we have common ground.
Oh yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
you guys view worshiping Jesus as worshiping God.
Yeah, I
And
know
so
it's.
we're all on worshiping the one God, even if you
Yeah,
guys say three.
yeah. We're
one, and, like,
monotheistic,
that
bro.
whole-
We're monotheistic. Yeah, just like you,
Yeah.
for sure.
exactly, we're both
100%.
monotheistic.
100%.
Really,
Yes,
pantheistic. I would
yes.
say that
Yeah.
pantheistic is that everything is Abishter. That even the trees and even the grass, and especially me and you, we're the part of God that gets to choose to become greater. Because how could a perfect God ever grow? But if God can't grow, then is he really perfect? This is what is taught in the esoteric. This is really taught in the esoteric parts of Yiddishkeit, that God redacted himself and then breathed or inserted himself back into the place that was kind of like empty. First, God is the whole world. Then God took part of himself out and kind of put part of himself back in, and the world just started to grow and get better and get better. But it started maybe with the hydrogen atom, then it went to helium, blah, blah, blah. And then it gets to us, and now all of a sudden, we don't know that we're God. We think we're just some human. And our goal is to keep on growing and get to the eventual understanding that we ourselves are God. We're the part of God that gets to grow. And so we are part of that perfection. We are the imperfect part of perfection, because perfection has to have an imperfect part to it that's getting better, or else it's not really perfect.
Okay, interesting. So I have another question, bro. I'm going to go to Genesis. All right, we're going to go to Genesis again. So the Great Flood. We were just talking about that. You're talking about the Great Flood. So something I bring up sometimes is I want to see how it is in the Hebrew. It talks about it says in the sixth. This is Genesis 7. I'm going to start at verse 11. Okay, so Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, in the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So I see that there's three separate events there. Okay, for me, when I interpret it, it says, and the fountains of the great deep were broken up, right? So there's water coming from the great.
On 7:11?
Yeah. And it says, and the windows of heaven were open, which I would say like the firmament were open and the waters would come in through the firmament personally. And it says it rained upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. So I believe there's three separate events that they're talking about there. I want to know if you interpret it the same way. I believe he's talking about the fountains of the great deep broken up. So waters would be coming down from below, right? And then it says that the windows of heaven were open. In Genesis 1:6, it talks about the firmament is heaven, right? So I believe he's talking about opening up the windows of the firmament and water that were above the heavens coming in. So that's two events. Right. And the third event is it rained upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Do you interpret that the same?
Yeah, I think that's a good read. I think that the water of the depth, the springs of the depth, were increased. And this word of Aruba, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. That's how you say the window. Aruba.
Okay.
And so the Aruba
of heaven,
of Hashamayim, of the heavens, and then there was rain. Yep, I think that's an accurate take. Yeah.
Of three separate events,
and there is that and is in the original Hebrew.
Yeah. So it sounds like now when we go to church, a lot of the times what they say is that what I hear a lot is that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights and it flooded the earth. And what we got to think about too, bro, is if you have let's say like a flat earth, I know there's hills, and then you have a dome. Right. And the water, all it has to do is basically go above Mount Everest, because it says that the flood, it flooded the whole entire earth. So if you have a dome, right, like basically a fish bowl, and you filled up the water, it's easier to flood like a flat earth with a dome than it is to flood obviously a globe, right? It just sounds crazy, spinning 1,000 miles an hour, rotating at 66,600 miles an hour.
A globe doesn't make sense with one word of the Bible.
Yeah, not at all, right?
A globe is against every single part. But let's talk about Mount Everest, since you brought it up. It never says in Genesis that God created mountains, right? He created the earth and the land and the heavens and the fish and the
the dry land, the vegetation,
the great Leviathan, and he created bushes and stuff. Never says he created mountains. I'm thinking, and I would only say this as a possibility. I wouldn't say that there was one example. I wouldn't even speculate if there was one example or 10 examples or 100 examples. There are thousands of examples on our flat realm of mountains that have unmistakably, distinctly human features. How and why? What is going on? Now, I went a couple of months ago when I was in, I want to say AZ, Arizona. But I might have been, I think it was in Arizona. I went to a place called, it was near the Grand Canyon. Near like 4 hours, which is like near, I live in Israel. So for me, 4 hours. It's called the Petrified Forest. And over there, they showed how these trees, through these organic material, these trees, through a process of calcification or silification, actually became stone. And I'm saying, wait a second, you're telling me organic material can become stone under the proper circumstances of intense heat and intense pressure? What if these mountains that were not in Genesis said were created by God? What if these mountains with distinctly human features, and sometimes the animal features, what if they were actually antediluvian titans? What if these mountains were actually the corpses of a lot of these giants or titans that roamed the earth before the deluge? That's what antediluvian. So I'm saying, I'm choking on my words.
Before the flood is antediluvian.
Yeah. So I'm saying maybe there's something to this, that all these mountains are actually a big key to understanding what actually happened in our history.
It's interesting. It's an interesting take, and I've seen some people go over that before and show that there's different faces and stuff. So it's
crazy.
It gets interesting.
And there are thousands of examples,
and
it's
a
not
lot of
one or two.
A lot of the worship that happens, like with the Satan worshipers or the people of the Moloch and all, they would do it on top of mountains, and they would think they're closer to the gods, right? That's what they would try to do, and that's very interesting. And the fallen angels supposedly came down to Mount Hermon, or wait, I don't remember what it was. 22 angels came down. That's a book of Enoch. That's a different subject, but a lot of stuff is happening on mountains, right? So I think it gets interesting, man. They did a lot of worship there because they think they're closer to God. So that's another way I think that God, personally, I think that God is closer than we think. They talk about the expanse of the universe, and it keeps expanding. And if there was a globe and then there's a firmament, right, it would have to be outside. If it was, I'm just saying.
I know.
What it is,
I can't hear globe without.
I know. It would be ever expanding.
It's automatic.
If God's throne is above the firmament, like I believe it says in Ezekiel, then it basically it brings us further and further and further away from God, and that's what the whole heliocentric model does, right? It just gets us further and further away from God.
Worship. It's just sun worship.
Exactly. I 100% agree with that, and that's all Freemasonic, Egyptian,
the Freemasons,
Babylonian,
and the Illuminati. They're all Jesuits, bro. They're all Jesuits.
Yeah. I would agree. There's a lot of that in it. I think there's. What I would say, bro, is like with all the people I've had on the show, I believe there's different branches, that you would say, the black nobility, would say that there was like that Jesuit black nobility. Then there would be like more of the English. Then there would be like the there's all these different black nobility that are like kind of
a bunch of different, and the ones that are really on top, we don't even know how to call them.
Yeah.
We call them like the council, maybe the papal bloodlines. The Aldo Brandinis and De Medici, that's as high as I've been able to scratch so far.
So that's.
I went to the Vatican and I vandalized it. I snuck in. You needed a document saying you had 3 of the poisons, and so I have the document.
Okay, I know what you mean. So that, bro. And I've had like Gary Wayne and a lot of people that like to break down all the bloodlines and do some amazing jobs of that. And I'd love
to hear more about that. If you can send me those classes,
Oh, I'll send it to you, bro. It's dude,
I'll take
it's interesting.
I'll take an ear whiff.
So what he was saying is there's like a council of 13.
Up right now.
He said there's like a council of 13.
Yeah,
Which would,
I
which
heard
would,
about the Council of 13.
So there'd be like a council of 13, which would be like the 13 families that none of us have ever heard of, right? And then below that would be like the invisible 33, which is like 33 families, and then it goes committee of 300. So now we get into like I used to think that the Jesuits were like the highest order, and I used to think that the papal bloodlines were the highest. But when he started telling me about all these different families, and I started researching it, bro, it just blows your mind, bro, how crazy it gets.
It's crazy. I'm really interested in that. I think like the Phoenicians, I think in the Second Punic War, like a lot of these Roman and Greek people were actually undercover Phoenicians, and so like that's where like all the child sacrifice comes back to, you know.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, bro. But bro, I think we're at an hour and a half, which we usually like to keep our show to, bro. And I think, bro, this was a banger, bro, because we got to go, dude. Bro, honestly, bro, I love it because I love the fact that you are a researcher. I love the fact that you speak Hebrew. Obviously, I love the fact that you're a rapper. I love the fact that you love the Lord. You know, you love God, and I love all the stuff connected together, bro. Is amazing, and I think this was a great show, bro. I appreciate you, man, and you really gave me some clarity that I needed for when I do teach, bro. I want to be able to speak with confidence, which I do when I'm teaching this stuff, but I'm speaking from, I don't know Hebrew and I don't know Greek. So I'm
here for you, bro. I'm here for you. And we are brothers and we are soldiers in arm, fighting the oppression, fighting the Roman Empire, fighting whoever is at the tippy top of the pyramid, who's trying to oppress us and trying to poison us and kill our families.
Yeah.
And we will erase their names and we will party one day, hopefully soon. And we will.
Bro, I'm in California, bro. You said you're in LA, bro. We're like in Rialto, bro. We're honestly only like an hour and a half away, maybe an hour and 10 minutes away, bro.
You already know that we're coming to say hey.
So when you do it, sometime I have young kids, so it's hard for me to get away, but I would love to come see your comedy show. I've been on Sam Tripoli's show before. I know you probably know who he is.
I know Sam Tripoli. That's pretty cool. Yeah. We can do comedy together. We can do rap together, or we could just study. We could just study Torah together.
Bro, I would rather I'd rather study the Torah. Now rapping is cool with me and it's fun, but I would definitely rather study the Torah, bro, and study the Bible.
All one. It's all one. Torah, comedy, rap. It's all just spreading the message and enlightening humanity, you know.
And I appreciate it, bro. And Jason,
make us merit. Yeah, Jason, what's
so Jason, any last words, bro, before we get off, bro? Oops, I almost knocked.
I just want to say thank you for coming on, man. That was an insightful message, bro. I learned a lot, and just listening to you speak, and how much you know the language and everything of you know your native tongue. That's awesome, bro. That was pretty cool, man. Thank you.
We got this, homies. I enjoyed it as well.
All right, any last words,
maybe
brother?
I'll see you in person. Last words is we are soldiers together, and hopefully one day we will be able to rebuild the third Israelite temple. And it says about the third Israelite temple, it talks about it in Ezekiel, but it also talks about it elsewhere. And it says that because my house will be a house of prayer to all the nations. And I always throw this in the face of like narrow-minded rabbis who are hating on the Gentiles. And I was like, Shteitin pasuk l'chol ha'amim, for all the nations. So hopefully we'll be able to party together in LA, party together in Jerusalem, party together all over our flat realm. And most importantly, the super chilling the whole way through because of who we are, because we are parts of God. I mean, may we rejoice in that realization.
Yes, we're all made in God's image, man. So I would like to say this.
We are all parts of God. That's what I was saying. And we can talk more about that maybe in person, or maybe if we do another show.
We'll do another show, bro.
In a couple of
we'll do another show in a couple of months, man.
We'll talk about that. I dropped some ideas about that, but we'll go more into depth about what I mean that we are God. We are the part of God that gets to choose to grow. We'll discuss more of that.
All right, no problem.
Awesome.
And guys, we like to have open discussions, and we like to have different interpretations. And this was amazing that we got to just break down the Torah, the Old Testament. Jason got a little bit of questions, and I got some in. Oh, is that what is it?
That's the temple.
Okay.
This is one of my shirts. It's a lyric. It says, "Life is a journey towards the promised land of aware self-possession. Come here, take my hand." And so I just wanted to end with this vision of the third temple.
Bro, it's crazy because if you read Revelation, bro, everything that you're mentioning right now, it kind of comes to a but
Let's do it. Maybe we'll study a little Revelations when I come visit you guys.
Dude, I think we should definitely study the New Testament a little bit. Just you know what I mean?
See what's out there.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, God is great, bro, all the time.
God is great. The Abishur is great.
Everybody that's listening, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you.
Peace.
If you could,
super chill.
Yeah.
Based on Mikdash, it's biggity do it. It's biggity build it.
Hold on. Let's see. Let me just make sure I got your Instagram correct. If you guys could search his Instagram at it's PASHUT 26. Okay, guys, look it up on Instagram. Follow him. Check out his comedy. He's got some cool posts. He got a lot of
my rap.
That'll make you laugh. Also, he's got his rap. He's an author. Got his book. Check it all out. And also, and he's also got classes too. If you guys want to hit him up on Instagram, DM him. Maybe you could join his class and learn some stuff that
invited
over. So we love everybody that's listening. We always end this in prayer, okay? And the way we pray is in Jesus' name. So let's do this. Father God, in the name of Jesus. I know, I understand, but this is the way we do it. Father God, in the name of Jesus, we appreciate everything you do for us. We appreciate you introducing us to this gentleman. I just want to say, protect him. He is exposing evil. I could tell that in his comedy, he might be doing it lightheartedly and having a good time with it, but he is exposing evil. He's also exposing some people that are pushing certain agendas on us, and we want to make sure that he is protected. Okay. I just want to say, put a legion of angels, but not Elohim around this gentleman, okay? And we also want to
let's do it.
Please protect our house, our homes. In our house, we choose to serve the Lord like Joshua says, and that's what we do. So we appreciate you, God, for everything you do for us, from the water we drink to the air we breathe, to the trees that he was mentioning, to the carbon dioxide being exhaled from the trees, and the inhaled from the trees, and the oxygen being exhaled. We appreciate you, God, so much for everything you do, and thank you so much for this teaching and this lesson that we learned today. We appreciate you in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, bro.
God, #research flat Earth.
Yes, amen.
Let's do it, baby. We got this. We got this.
Biblical cosmology, flat Earth, all that.
Love.
God bless you.
Piggity peace.